G'day guys, you're back with Miracle Max. Today in the workshop we have an Audi A1 1.4 litre turbo, 2011 model. I think that's about it. It's a fastback. Does that make it go fast? I don't know. So what's the problem with it? Well, it's overheating. Let's check it out together. Max the mechanic is the man. Can fix it all, yes he can. With a joke and a cheer, your car troubles disappear. Just a bit of a background story on this particular vehicle. The guy has just purchased it. Now, he rang me to check it out because it was overheating on the way home from where he purchased it. Overheated half a dozen times, I believe he said, but I didn't have time to look at it. So he sent it off to another workshop where they checked the coolant level and they said, no, it's fine, nothing wrong with it. But I believe the customer, if it was overheating, it was overheating. All the coolant levels were okay at the time. When I drove this vehicle into the workshop, there seemed to be quite a bit of a hesitation on the transmission side of things, as well as it seemed to be hesitating and idling a bit funny. So look, when things overheat, it's not just a coolant level issue. It could be some other thing. Some of these actually suffer from water pump issues, so I'll be looking into that as well. But firstly, I'd like to hook up the scan tool and see what's on board. There might be a clue there. It's always a good idea to have a look through their service history, and it's great when they leave invoices in with the vehicle itself. This vehicle has done what? 85,000 kilometres. It's brand new, isn't it? But let's just check out what's been done already. Now remember I said these do have problems with water pumps. Well, that's not an issue, is it? Thermostat assembly, okay, has been replaced. Now generally the water pump and the whole assembly is replaced at once. Now remember I said that this has got an overheating problem. This, in January of this year, 2025, it had a thermostat replaced. Notice it there, $400 for a thermostat. It's probably an electronically controlled thermostat, I would imagine. So they've gone ahead and done all those sort of things, labour, blah, 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 blah. Cost him $1,683, so $1,683. Okay, all right, fair enough. But let's flip the page. And over here, we have an alternator that was replaced that cost him $1,620. This was done last year, for crying out loud. What is wrong with this vehicle? How great is it? Look, I don't know. It's had service done to it, etc., or it's had service history done, etc., but I'm not overly confident on this vehicle. Why is it still overheating, for example? And there's one there. What's that? $1,100. That was just a service. Notice what it says, Audi minor service, and it cost him $1,100. Whoa. Although a battery was replaced, in all fairness, there's a battery, you know. Mate, there's a lot of work been done on this thing. They've had the transmission rebuilt at $5,700. Wow, that's had a lot of issues done on it. So it's a 7-speed clutch kit. This might be one of those double shaft style or double clutch style. So 5,000, man, this is a warning. Man, that's a lot of work that's been done. So you can appreciate it's a good idea to try and look through the service history, and having these invoices here is a fantastic idea. It's still got this overheating issue, of course, because the thermostat was replaced, but was a water pump checked? Was anything else checked on the thing? And like I said, it sort of had a strange transmission feel to it. And yet it looks like the transmission was rebuilt. Let me have a look at the date. So the transmission was rebuilt 3 years ago. I'm going to have a look at the feel of it as well. It just doesn't feel right to me. But my main concern today, of course, is this overheating issue that I need to address. Also notice here it says coolant was put in on, what was this, January of this year when the thermostat was done. Let's have a look at the condition of the coolant. No probs with the level, of course, that's perfect. But let's just dip in our little dippy stick and see what we've got. And that tells me that this thing is in bad condition. Let's go around the right way there, Max. Okay, so it's unsatisfactory. It's just not on. And I'd say someone's just topped it up with water as it's overheated and lost coolant for some reason. So starting with the basics, we're checking our level over here, no probs, and we've got our pressure over here, and that's been on there for like 15 minutes or so, and that's holding pressure, no problems. So we've got to look further. Yes, someone's been replacing the coolant over here, that's true. But it's probably just boiling it out, I assume, and just spitting it out the overflow, because it's actually quite high when you take that pressure off of it. Things to consider are, is the cooling fan working? Is the radiator blocked? Is the water pump operating correctly? Those sort of things. Is there some other drag that could be causing the engine to overheat as well? Let's hook up that scan tool as I suggested. Let's hook into it. So there's no real clues in the scan there, guys. We've got poor fuel quality. Notice these are passive or sporadic. They, they don't happen all the time. We've got some globes out. Our tank flap is, ooh, what's happening there? Oh, earthquake? No, just kidding. Let's sit you back up there, fellas. You feeling better? Okay, thought you might get a bit seasick. You're okay now. Good. All right, so I've got some globes out by the looks of things. These are occasional. I'm going to, obviously print this out for the customer, clear the codes, see what happens, what comes back. This is the fuel cap. Obviously, you want that fella open. That must be just a little solenoid that opens it, so that's an active one there. But the rest, there's no real clues there, guys. Okay, even though those codes cleared out, no problems, I just want to do some activation tests now. I'm having a look in at the cooling pump itself. Now, keep in mind that they have replaced this thermostat / cooling pump, which is hidden down in, I don't know if you guys can see it. Hello, you in there? It's in there somewhere, guys. I have to pull this off to show you good and props, but just take my word on it, okay? But if we have a listen to it, if we select that, so we go into coolant pump and start, you can hear the noise, that buzzing noise, but also come over to the tank. You can see that it's recirculating through the tank, so we know that side of the pump is working okay. So there's sort of secondary pump on there. That seems to be working okay. These also have a primary water pump, which is this guy down here, and some of them have a plastic impeller on the back of them, and they tend to fall off. So that can be a problem as well. We'll have to investigate there further. Fan, coolant fan activation. Okay, that one. There should be some live data with that. That'll give us the percentage that it's coming up and down as we control it. Let's start that. We'll see it come up further and further. There we go. And have a listen to it once again. It's very rare they hit 100%. Let's just stop that. Hello. Right, so I'm not overly concerned about my fan or the secondary water pump, which is over there, but perhaps my primary pump, or it could be a radiator partially blocked. They're my two go-to guys at this point in time. Although there is some basic things to look at. Is there any oil in the water, water in the oil, those sort of things. I'll check them next. Alrighty then, I've done some more research and found out that I might have been barking up the wrong tree. This fella over here that I thought was the water pump is not the electric water pump. It's actually a double thermostat. There's a thermostat over here, and then, get off my knees, there's a thermostat down there as well. It's a double thermostat assembly. I thought this might be the electrical connector going onto it, but in actual fact, that's a temperature sensor. When I pulled that off, the electric fan came on and worked, so that's a temperature sensor there. So this is what's been replaced last time, this thermostat assembly. So where was that electric water pump that I could hear? Well, follow me on this strange journey. So the electric water pump is underneath sort of this assembly over here, and you can just see that clamp there. That's the electric water pump down in there. That was the one that I could hear, I can feel, and that's all good. I've also had a look at this water pump, and this particular design is extremely basic. The main fault with them is that they use a plastic impeller. If the coolant hasn't been changed on a regular basis, that could be the fault. Just took this beast for a road test, an extended road test, and eventually when it came back into town, came all the way around here. Fat fingers in the road, of course. And when I pulled up, the cooling fan was going nuts, etc. Let me have a look at the radiator hoses. Now, they have cooled down quite a bit in comparison to what they were. That guy there is saying, come on fella, 80-something degrees. Yep, they're 80, and the guy just below it is that guy over there, and he's reading 26, 25 degrees. That's a huge variation, isn't it? Okay, so partially blocked radiator, maybe? I don't know. What do you think? I've just written down a few measurements here, and just before that cooling fan kicked out, it obviously would have been a lot hotter, but these are the measurements that I got. So top hose was 80 degrees Celsius, 26 on the bottom. That's a difference of 54 degrees. Now, of course, there's meant to be a temperature difference between the top hose and the bottom hose. That's the purpose of the radiator. Coolant goes down through the cores and gets cooled as the air goes through it. Heat gets removed, and then the cool stuff goes back to the engine. But it should be about 20-something degrees, not 54 degrees. Of course, this being a recently purchased second-hand vehicle, it's not up to me to make these decisions on what needs to be done next. At this point in time, I'm leaning toward that blocked radiator simply because the temperature difference between top and bottom is insane. I've never seen it that high before. I'm just heating it up. I'm having a crisis of intelligence at this point in time. Now you can see, look at the temperature gauge going up like that. Now, if that was a blocked radiator, I'd be surprised. Look, I know the invoice says that the thermostats were replaced, but I don't know. It seems to be kind of very quick as opposed to a radiator, which generally accumulates heat, and then, you know, it takes time under load, etc., etc. But these are kind of weird steps. Look at that. Check it out. I'm not convinced that it's a radiator now. Maybe the thermostats, even though in theory they were meant to be new, they could be faulty, guys. Who knows? And the invoice is very vague. It just says thermostat alloy, not plastic, or some such thing. It doesn't even give you a part number. So yeah, it's kind of weird. One thing I've noticed, which I didn't realise before, that here's my top hose that has a thermostat. Okay, here's my bottom hose, and it has a thermostat as well. There's two separate ones for the top and the bottom. I didn't realise that they were top and tail. So let's have a look at the thermal camera and see what's happening here. So there's our bottom radiator hose, and let's have a look at the thermal camera. We can see that we've got, you know, a bit of heat coming through there. There's our bottom hose, and then we've got, what's that along there? And our thermostat is that guy right there, I believe. Okay, so yeah, you can see that's getting up to 80 degrees as mentioned, but let's have a look at our other thermostat, and it's what, 21 degrees. Doesn't look like that's opening at all, does it? Like on that side of it, it's hot this side, but not that side of it. So that's kind of weird, isn't it? Maybe that's the reason. Might be they didn't do both thermostats, perhaps they just did one of them, and you know, that might be the cause of it. I'm not quite sure. So yeah, that thermostat is really cold right there. There's no problems with it at all. Hose is cold there. This is our bottom hose. Our top hose is really quite hot, and our thermostat is hot there as well. Now, there's no temperature gauge on that secondary one. This one back in here, there's no, not like the other one. This has nothing on it. It's just a straight thermostat. I reckon we've got a stuck thermostat, which has sent me up the wrong garden path there, guys, because there's one for the top and there's one for the bottom. So I've popped out the thermostat, and just to make it easier for you guys to see, I've pulled out the airbox. It was only like a screw over, I don't know, there somewhere. And these popped off here and over here, no issues. I did it mainly for your benefit so you could see. Coolant goes out there, didn't even pull the hose off the bottom there. And yeah, not much coolant came out, to be quite honest. Now, the components that are inside are these guys here. Let's have a look on the bench. Okay, so we've got a big spring. We've got the thermostat itself, the wax pellet style thermostat, and we've also got the valve assembly that opens up. So you can see here, we can lift this up and down like that, you see. And if you have a look on the back, you can see where it moves. It doesn't move much, I can tell you that much. That's for sure. It's hardly any movement there whatsoever. Now, I don't reckon this is new. Have a look, there's rust on that bolt. And yeah, I just don't think it's new. I could be wrong. But I need to test this, get this up to temperature, and see if it's opening at, what's that, 83 degrees. We'll see if that cracks open then or not. Look, I've also decided to pull off the top hose, because in theory they've meant to have done all this work, and I don't feel confident that they have, to be quite honest. That's a different style there, and there is gunky goos in there. Check out this. There's definite gunky goos. Now, they said that they replaced the aluminium side of it, but not plastic. I don't even know what that means. Now this looks like it's got some sort of plunger assembly on the top of it, and the thermostat is still in there, so I'll pop that out. We'll have a look at the rating on that, and let's hope that they've got them around the right way too. I'll be honest, I'm really confused as to what they have actually done. They said that they've replaced the thermostat, I don't know, aluminium housing or some such thing. But I'm looking at this guy here. Look at all these jam marks. Can you see that? I'll bring it up to you closer. Can you see that? It looks like it's actually been sticking in there. Now that would certainly indicate, is that pintle bent? I don't know, almost looks bent to me. But this certainly looks like it's been sticking, doesn't it? It looks like it's been jamming up here. Let's have a look in here. Can't see anything there, but what about on the vehicle itself, on the motor? Oh, that is interesting, isn't it? Might have to get a light and a mirror to have a really good look in there, but look at those gunky goos there. I'm getting confused here, guys, as to what really is the issue. Could it be a thermostat, or the thermostats, plural? Maybe it's not circulating through the engine. The temperature gauge is up the top, just above here. It's a separate unit. But that, I don't know if that plastic housing's been done or anything. They haven't done the thermostats, not by a long shot. So lie pants on fire, guys. I don't understand what you wrote on the invoice that cost $400 odd. I couldn't really find any major issue with the housing that it goes into, just these thermostats themselves. Now, remember this one was what, 83? You see that there? And this one, the one that is opening, is 105 degrees. Now, God, that's quite warmish. Now, it appears that this one is opening, but this one is not for some reason. And yet, this here seems to have more wear marks on it. Doesn't look like it's ever been replaced. And yeah, I'm going to chuck these in some water and see what happens, eh? Now, it's going to be a bit hard to show you guys if it opens or not, but this is the, what's this, 83 degree one, I believe. So we're almost there, and I've put a black line around it so we can see the pintle move up and down if at all possible. So I'll just chuck it in there and see what it does. Let's just give her a bit of the heateroo, and we'll see what happens. Okay, we're heading up toward 90 there, guys. So this, oh, there it goes. It is moving. Look at that. Okay. So, oh, the end dropped off. That's no good. Don't you hate it when that happens? That's going to be hot, Max. Just be careful with it, bro. It just fell out. That's interesting, isn't it? So, hold it up this way. Damn it. Where's my pintle gone? Here, pintle. I can still push against it quite easily. That's still very hot. Let's get a rag onto it. And remember, it's pushing against a really big spring. Now that's still very hot, but I can squish it down quite comfortably. There we are. So I can push that in quite easily. See that? Look at that, eh? So I'm going to get it hot again. It's still, what's that, 80? It should be opening by now. Put him in this way maybe. Hopefully it won't have too much of an issue falling out. It's definitely past its 83. Okay. So there's the line. You can see the line there, but I can quite easily push it back down. Hey, check that out. And that's meant to be going against spring tension, hey? So once that spring's on there, it's certainly not going to want to open up, is it? So this is still pretty warm. This is how the thing operates. This pushes against the thermostat hat, I guess, or the top of it, and that in turn will push against that. That will close the thermostat valve right there. Now this guy here, when he heats up, he's meant to expand like he did before, but in all fairness, he's pretty lame. Check it out. I can just squish him like that. It doesn't matter how much I heat this thing up, it's not going to open. I think we've got thermostat issues, and I'm not comfortable just doing these little thermostat fellas here, which you can actually buy separate. You know, the pintle and the thermostat itself. I feel like I need to buy the entire housing, but how do I tell the customer that it appears that it wasn't replaced last time? I don't know. This is kind of weird. I'll have to ring up and see what pricing is anyway. And then this other one, which I can't, it's meant to be 105, so I doubt it's going to move at all. So there we go. There's our 100 degrees, which I can't get it any hotter, as I mentioned. because of thermodynamics, or something like that anyway. I'm just making stuff up right now. And yeah, this guy isn't moving, but it's meant to be 105 or something, I believe. But I trust this one more. But my only concern is that I reckon this is actually sticking. Yes, I have ordered a whole new thermostat assembly. Now that I'm replacing this thermostat assembly down here, I've got the lower radiator hose off, and as I mentioned, there's quite a few gunky goos floating around in there, and I'm not happy with those. So look, it's an ideal time to do a radiator flush anyway, and I might even run it without the thermostats a little bit, put in some radiator flush, but I'll also flush it through as well, a reverse flush of course, so we go from the bottom up to the top, and that brings all the rubbish to the top, and it can dissipate as well. So I'll do that now, just shift it, and while those thermostats, both the thermostats are out, I can give it a good flush out and try and get rid of any impurities that have been left in there that should have been done by other companies that worked on it. So I've been flushing it through the bottom hose here, back flushing it that way through the radiator, and it's coming out the top hose. Now that stuff was not there before, don't know if you can see it, but look at all that, that's trash that's in the radiator. I'm going to have to keep back flushing it again and again and again until I get it all out, and then I'll have to drop that bottom hose, see how it go. I might even use a cleaning agent for a little while and see if we can get more gunk out. Just a quick recap, I have pulled out those thermostats and checked them, and one is definitely on the dodgy side and the other one appears to be sticking. That could be an issue there. And in view of the fact that one of those thermostats was replaced some time ago, I don't feel confident just to replace those little thermostats themselves. I want to do the entire housing. So that's what I've ordered and got. I'll install that now. I've also flushed out the radiator, back flushed the radiator, and used a chemical compound to try and clean out any gunky goos. So let's chuck in that housing and see what happens. So it doesn't look too hard to fit, guys. It's just bolted in by 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts here. Got a couple of hoses here and here, our top and bottom radiator hose, and a couple of heater hoses that come off the back there. Of course, don't forget our temperature gauge or our temperature sensor connector as well. One thing I found interesting was in the replacement one, this is a Trident, hopefully it's okay, compared to the genuine is the temperature settings. On the genuine one, it was 105 degrees on one side, and I think if I remember rightly, 83 on the other. This replacement one, notice it's 83 and 87. They're a lot closer, aren't they? Perhaps this is a replacement for a particular fault, I don't know. But this is what Trident have decided to do, have lower settings in comparison to that 105 to, what was it, 83 comparison. So that's a huge difference, isn't it? So hopefully that'll help this thing not to overheat. Okay, to undo these bolts, there's, like I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, but you might have to undo this guy up the top here just to get your these bypass ones out the road so that you can get to this bolt underneath here. Now they are a T30. Now people correct me all the time, T30 is a Torx bit I believe, but everyone tells me that I'm wrong whenever I call them Torx bits. That's just what I call them. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a T30. Now I'm not sure what sort of moron came up with this idea, but remember I said you might have to undo this bolt up here, which is true, it's a Torx bit. And underneath here, the reason is because these pipes need to go up so that you can get access to the little bolt down in there. There goes my light. Okay, but man, what sort of idiot did that? Have a look at the angle I've got to get onto to try and get the thing up and running. Like, I can almost get it 90 degrees to it, but not quite. What an insane idea. And who came up with this idea? I want to have a chat with him because I'm not happy with him, that's for sure. And then put it in by hand and then just nip it up with my Torx bit. The others are easy to get to. One thing to note when you do pull this guy off, it faces that direction of course, there's actually like a little locking tab that goes in through here to lock a pipe that has an O-ring in place. Now I popped this out and then I had trouble trying to find the stupid thing. And what it had done is it had clipped on one of these heater hoses like that, and it was just dangling and I couldn't see it. So just be aware of that. You've got to hang on to that fella. It's actually quite hard to get to around these pipes here, but hang on to that when you flick it off. And of course, when you put it back into place, make sure it locks into place. So I have got the new thermostat housing in place. It's just sitting there for now. What I did focus on was getting this section here into the pipe that comes on the back. So there's an O-ring on the pipe, and you push it on, then there's that locking tab that I mentioned. I'll try and zoom in on that locking tab for you, just so that you can see what it looks like. There we go, in there. Yeah, so that just slides on, sort of got a fork section as I showed you before. Goes in that way. Slid in quite easily. And I'll put some rubber grease on the O-rings just to make sure that they're okay. And where this guy goes over here, there's a housing with the bolts, of course. Yes, over there. I cleaned up that area spotless, and then I was able to just whack some rubber grease on the new O-ring assembly that comes with it. So yeah, just bolt it back into place now, I hope, and everything's good. It's all put back into place. I've got all my hoses on, of course, as you can see. I have got those 4 bolts put in, and including this bolt up here that was holding this bracket so that I could get to that bolt in there. Stupid idea. One last thing to do, of course, don't forget your temperature sensor needs to be put into place, and that should just slide in there in theory, and nice clickage. I'm just going to put a pressure tester on there. I'm not even going to put water in there. I'm just going to pressure test it with air. If it holds air, then you know it doesn't have a leak. It takes a bit to pump up, but you know you're just losing air if anything goes wrong instead of water or coolant. I'm back from lunch, and this is exactly where it was before I left. So that's just like I said, there's no coolant in there or anything like that. I've just pumped it up with air. If it holds with air, it's going to hold the coolant, isn't it? There won't be any leakage problem. Now just add some coolant and distilled water at the correct mix, and then take it for a road test. So with the coolant at the correct level and the temperature gauge reading at the correct temperature reading, it's time for a road test. Let's have a look at the bottom and top radiator hose in comparison to what it was before. Now this is the top hose, and we've got, what's that reading? About 71, 77 at its hottest spot. And the bottom one down there somewhere, I'll see if I can find it for you, it's a bit hard. We're looking at about 44 degrees, 45 degrees. But what's it like on the other end where the thermostat is opening? Now remember, before we had only, 26 degrees, something along those lines. So we're looking at about, 70 degrees there. And so that means that the coolant is circulating, doesn't it? Okay, we've got a similar temperature change. So both those thermostats will be open. And there's our other thermostat, the, top hose. It's about 93, which is okay as well. After a very extensive road test, around about 30 kilometres in fact, uphill, down dale, nailing it uphill, giving her the beans and just cruising along, it sat smack bang on 90. It didn't budge at all. I thought I might have some sort of fluctuation, but no, it was absolutely spot on. So whether the Trident replacement has helped with the issue, having, 83 on one side, 87 on the other, I believe, which will give us more of a consistent flow, I don't know. Either way, the overheating has stopped, so I'm pretty confident to hand it back to the customer. Hey, you should be confident about giving this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Don't forget about that notification bell. You don't want to miss any future videos. You can catch up with us on Instagram as well as Facebook, see what's happening in the workshop as well as the electronics lab. While you're waiting for a new video to come out, scoot around the channel and have a look at other ones that might interest you. But in the meantime, guys, this is Miracle Mac signing off. I will catch you later.